Welcome back. This is episode 276 of Stogie Geeks. I'm your host this week, Joe Hozempa, in studio. This is volume 2. So if you're just tuning in, gotta hit rewind and catch what we had spoken about before for sure. We have live via Skype Roberto Echevarria from Abel Exposito Cigar Company. Robert, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Welcome, guys. Thank you. Thank you for having me with you.
Oh, thank you for coming. Just so Robert is, I just learned this just about 30 seconds before we started. Robert is no stranger to the Stogie Geek show. He had the opportunity to be on in the early episodes with, who were you with? You were with, excuse me? Nesta Miranda. So
I have a cigar company.
Yep. So if you wanted to catch those episodes, obviously you can go to stogiegeeks.com or wiki.stogiegeeks.com. Type in Nesta Miranda. The episode will come up under the search, and you'll be able to catch that episode. So, Robert, welcome to the show. Abel Exposito Cigars. Tell us what your position is in the company, how you get started, and tell us a little bit about Abel Exposito Cigar Company.
Well, I would start saying that Abel Exposito, it's a international figure in the cigar industry, coming from Portugal. He used to be the head of Casa del Habano, Portugal, in Havana, Cuba, for 19 years. And during that time, in that position, he had access to travel all over the world, representing Portugal. And it gave him a great exposure and notoriety around the world for the cigar industry. So when he retired, we've been long-time friends, and we got together in his restaurant in Havana, and we came up with the idea of having a cigar company with his name on it, just to leverage his notoriety and recognition throughout cigar smokers around the world. Mm-hmm. And then I created my own cigar company, Abel Exposito.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're no stranger to what it's like to get out there and expose your brand and get it out into the marketplace. What type of methodologies have you been trying to do to accomplish that?
I believe the core in the cigar business is a personal relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to be a good guy, do what you said, no lies, no promises, just facts and action. Talk to people with honesty. You go to a cigar store, sit down with the owner, explain what a cigar is about, expose yourself as you are, and everything, comes along from there.
Mm-hmm. Now,
relationship.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly for sure. Abel Exposito, are they're available outside of the United States as well?
Yes, we're currently selling in Latin America, Spain, and we're starting in Germany soon, Switzerland.
Mm-hmm. And it's doing very well over there. And then you're nestled in South Florida.
Yes.
Along with everyone else.
Yeah.
How take us through that. So what's it like trying to get into a shop in South Florida, getting the shelf space? Talk to us a little bit about the blend, why the Stogie Geeks listeners should seek out Abel Exposito Cigars. By the way, if you want to learn more about this brand, you can go to Abel Exposito Cigars. If you're looking for the spelling, you can go to wiki.stogiegeeks.com to get that.
Basically, you get into a cigar store and you want to pursue the best location on the humidor, but the shelf space is always limited. So
right,
you have to gain your ground slowly, building a personal relationship with the owner or manager, explaining people how different, why your cigar deserve that location or that place on the humidor, and let people smoke the cigar, because this is the only business I know that the product talks for himself.
Yes.
You can say whatever, but it's like the first kiss. If the first kiss doesn't work, I barely believe that girl will go out with you again. So
I like it. That's there you go. That's true.
So a cigar out of the first puff have to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
rich in notes and aroma and bouquet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a product that is worth being in the middle of the great shelf space, I believe the retailers will give you that opportunity because they will make money out of that cigar.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Take us through the bouquet. Take us through like what was some of the first blends that you started, what they are, what the consumer can expect if they were to seek out a Abel Exposito cigar.
Abel Exposito cigar was blended by Don Mr. Abel Exposito, Don Fidel Olivas, and some other very knowledgeable people in the cigar industry internationally. People from Germany, people from Canada, Cuba, Nicaragua. We had a huge blending panel. And we came up with a great blend consisting on Habano Ecuador in the wrapper and Nicaragua on the filler and binder. We fermented the cigar for 18 months to accomplish the oily wrapper, and the uniformity in the color is spotless. There is a one color. It's a Habano little cherry color, but uniform. There is no spots or different colors. It's that we accomplish a great level of brown in this wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a great cigar in terms of construction, in terms of flavor and the notes. Because when you smoke a medium body cigar, the notes have to be balanced, leveled, and this is a great accomplishment in this cigar because you feel different impacts, different. It's like angels dancing in your tongue when you smoke. It's not harshy. It's not strong in pepper or spice. Just the other way around. Just because of long fermentation, it's more earthy and woody than spice and. And one important detail: once you finish smoking it, there is no after smoking you throw on your palate. It's done because it's not a harshy cigar. It's a true medium body, I would say.
Yeah, I think what would potentially smooth it out, and I'm not a blender by any means, but I think the Ecuadorian Habano wrapper would definitely play a big part in that smoothness on the palate for sure.
That's absolutely right. You nailed the head.
Yeah.
The Habano wrapper gained a recognition not only in Cuba but outside of Cuba by providing a wrapper that number one is elastic, oily, and gives you the balance, the perfect balance in between the good-looking wrapper, but also very aromatic and tasty.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to be reaching Rhode Island in a couple of days, so I'm going to pay you a visit, guys.
Oh yeah, I'll text you offline the address so you can find us. Well, you've been here, so you've been to Todd's place. So yeah, it's right next door to the Havana Club. So yeah,
I've been there many times.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a lovely place.
Yep. Yeah. So you're actually coming down in a couple of weeks?
No, a couple of days. Maybe Wednesday.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. Yeah. Let me know. I'll take some time out to connect with you, and we'll talk a little bit more. Are you guys going to IPCPR this year?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I go here.
Yep. What do you hope to get out of IPCPR, or do you have anything that you want to, any spoiler alerts, or what are you going on there?
Well, in Europe, we're already retail.
Okay.
Like Spain, for example, we're all over the place. But in the US, we're launching now the brand, and we're releasing it through the stores. So my goal is not only visiting a lot of stores in the Northeast this coming week, but so going to the IPCPR and try to meet more volume of retailers that are already familiar to me from my times of being a rep.
Yes.
And just put the cigars in people's mouth. This is important. Let people smoke the cigar, and they, the outcome is going to be great, because when you put effort, talent, and persistence in something, it pays off in life. It's not, it's not something that is going to compensate you. It's going to be great, because it's a lot of effort behind this for 3 years, not only financially, but time-consuming effort, intellectually effort. It's been a long, difficult process up to this point.
And
CPR is a great platform to get people familiar with the brand and the complexity of this cigar.
And your cigars themselves are aged and cured for 18 months before you release them, correct? Is that the...
Yeah.
Yep. So for 18 months there. Have you ever come across some of the blends that might need a little bit more time, or what do you do in that situation? Especially, I mean, because you can, if you say time, okay, 2-3 weeks, you can ship them and do that there, or you kind of need patience in this industry for sure.
What happens with certain brands that they have a huge amount of pressure because of the demand and back orders. So sometimes in the process, you have difficulty to extend the fermentation process, which is important, crucial. Because of the demand, you have to comply with your demand, and that maybe jeopardize a little bit the sophistication in the composition of the notes and the flavor. Fermentation is like the whole making the cigar is construction and fermentation. So extending it just does good to a cigar. Nothing less than that. And if you rush it, you risk breaking the great balance or releasing the chemicals that would be harsh in the mouth on the palate. So I'm a very, very huge believer of long fermentation process if you can afford it.
Yeah, I think it's very important, and that's a good point too, especially not so much if they were doing a Connecticut blend, because it wouldn't be as harsh, but sometimes when you decide to put Nicaraguan binder and filler into a cigar, I'm a very strong believer, especially if you're a boutique or newer cigar on the market, and there is a huge demand for your product, like you said. With the Nicaraguan blends, you got to be very, very careful, as opposed to if it was a Dominican blend. And it's nothing against the Dominican blend of cigars. It's just the process and the bitiness, or the potential bite of the tobacco for a Nicaraguan blend can be a whole heck of a lot stronger than a Dominican blend. So you really have to keep a eyeful watch on that process.
I'm absolutely in tune with you, and it shows your huge knowledge about Nicaragua as a great denomination for production of cigars. Let me explain you this. In order to grow tobacco in Nicaragua and make a great cigar out of it, you need to be a genius and very, very knowledgeable. Because don't forget, they grow tobacco in a volcanic soil.
Yes.
It's not Vuelta Abajo, Pinal del Rio. It's volcanic. It's not a powder, red powder. It's black and gravelly. So they really became experts in treating the material that grows in that country. And I believe they made the best cigars in the world, not only by the construction and the expertise, but also by the process of curing, planting, and fermenting it. Volcanic soil, keep that in mind.
Yeah, the volcanic soil, it's because with volcanic soil, it's not seasonal, right? So you put the tobacco plants into the soil. They go through their growing process, okay, and then from there, if the soil has a level playing field, and what I mean by that is, okay, say you have a bar, right? So the beginning of the season is here, the end of the season is here. This is when it grows, this is when it gets better, and it goes like that, and then it goes there, and then you have the end of the season. You can kind of time that. In the volcanic soil activity, the nutrients can change almost like, the best way to describe it, I guess, to the Stogie Geeks listener or to any listener, is you're walking down the street one day and it's sunny, and then all of a sudden you get some gale force winds coming down. You get 2-3 inches of rain in an hour, right, or 2 hours, and then the winds subside, and then the temperature comes back. So it goes from, say, 98 to 78 in the atmosphere. That's what causes the storm, right? And then you get all this water, and then the storm passes, and then now the soil has changes there, and they really have to keep a watchful eye on that, because especially in Nicaragua, it can change per square. I don't want to say per square foot. I don't know how tobacco is measured. I'm not trying to pretend I'm a blender here, but like per acre. So what would be strong in this acre, even though it's the same plantation, might be going through a different consistency in the soil because of the volatility of the volcanic rocks, where they really have to keep an eye on that.
That's why I feel myself very lucky, because I'm friends with Mr. Fidel Olivas, who's behind a lot of very successful brands in the U.S. for 26, 30 years. And he's a very experienced specialist in the cigar industry in that country. And he came up with a great cigar. I'm very proud of it. And I want to say that this is my my way of thinking the U.S. market, bringing a great product to this market that gave me a lot, and this is a kind of a retribution to the U.S. market and U.S. smokers for all the happiness and that I got from this market throughout the years. I believe if everyone would have a opportunity to retribute, give back whatever wealth they have, that makes people very happy. That's why I'm a very happy man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes at the stores or public places I go to, people ask me, "What do you do for a living?" My answer is always unequivocal. My business is making people happy.
Yeah, absolutely, and cigars can definitely do that for sure. What are some of the goals that Abel Exposito Cigars is working on, either post IPCPR or for the rest of this year, or do you have any blends coming out? And do you still use that original, I think you said in the beginning of the interview, that 15 panel person from various different countries? Do you still have access to those people, and do you have any new blends that are coming out?
We want to grow organically, so we're going to work with this blend, Ecuadorian Habano on the wrapper, Nicaraguan filler and binder, 4 sizes, a 5x50 called Gordo, a Toro 6x52, Churchill 7x50, and a 6x56. All cigars with a pigtail, as you can see. Yep. They all have pigtail, so you don't need a cutter. You just buy the piggy tail and start smoking it. Mm-hmm. So we want to start with one blend, 4 sizes, and come up next year with maybe another 2 sizes or Roberto Echevarria brand. But this is under consideration now. Sure. We want to focus now on Abel Exposito, try to get as many accounts as we can, and our selling goal this year is 250,000 sticks in the U.S. Okay, yeah, that's a good goal. That's a good goal, and from all the various people that we interview here on Stogie Geeks, that's the magic number, right? So that's a benchmark. If you want to be a good hitter, you have to start with that number and be persistent. Yep. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, if you were able to penetrate through the market and sell 250,000 sticks, what that then says is that, okay, you've reached the first milestone. You've created a blend, however you created it. People, obviously, because they've consumed the 250,000 sticks, they enjoy the blend, right? So that's testament there. And then you can really focus on the business of, even though at this stage, the first stage, you're in the business of pleasing people, getting a great stick into the hands of people and doing that. But then you can really focus in on the fun stuff, right? And basically the fun stuff is, okay, what does, in your case, your cigar company stand for? And what can the consumer expect from that type of experience there. And I think that that's where the fun begins.
My principle in life, not only in the cigar business, in life, is that you have to enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process, you will be exhausted
quickly.
Yeah, you have to make fun of everything. Work hard, be honest with yourself and with the consumers, but also have fun and relax. And if you do things the right way, they will come back with the right way. So enjoy the process. Don't get exhausted, because if you enjoy what you do, you can work long hours without being. So my principle in life and everything is enjoy every day, as unique as it is.
Yep, I'm the same way. I work 12, 14 hours a day, but I have the luxury of cigars in my hand during that. I have the luxury of trying to stay focused on the tasks that I have at hand. But I do have the to enjoy the moment of whatever the day brings and the challenges of whatever the day brings. And believe me, it can be challenging.
Cigars personalizes my conception of happiness. Mm-hmm. Happiness for me is when you do what you love and you love what you do.
Yep.
And cigar is a burst, impersonation of what I just said. I love cigars. They make me happy, and I believe I make people happy making a good cigar.
Mm-hmm. Now, back to the panel of the 15 people. It is 15, right? 15 people?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to the panel, because I find that very, very fascinating from a business methodology standpoint, especially when you try to create a blend for its original debut into the marketplace of 250,000 sticks to create the milestone, right? What were you looking for besides smoothness on the palate? What were you looking for to separate yourself from the competition when it comes to the cigar? Because, rolling Nicaraguan filler and Ecuadorian Habano wrapper isn't anything new, right? So what aspects did you focus on in that process to come up with the cigar that you have today?
Well, basically, when we composed the blending panel, we tried to do 3 layers: experts, consumers, mm-hmm. and people that just had nothing to do with cigars, mm-hmm. just absorbing the aroma. So we had experts, people knowledgeable about smoking cigars. They've been smoking cigars for decades. Mm-hmm. And then people absolutely with nothing to do with cigars, just a neutral, unbiased opinion about the aroma and the experience. So we had cardiologists and doctors from Spain, cops and firefighters from Canada, store owners, factory owners, brand owners, people with long life experience in the cigar business, and just people, that had nothing to do with cigars, and they wanted to give it a try, and just comment on the experience and their notes and their feeling on the palate. Mm-hmm. So basically, in order to come up with a different original idea when it comes to cigars is difficult.
Sure.
The only way to get close to that goal is trying to blend a cigar for the market, not for yourself. The cigar, this is my conception, in a mild cigar, the notes that composes the flavor are mellow, so you have to get creative to play with the notes in your palate, right? Mm-hmm. In the full body cigar, spice or pepper may be predominant, and they may threaten the rest of the notes. But when you build a true medium body cigar, all the notes are equal, leveled, so you can have a great experience in enjoying different notes and exposure in your palate. That's why my goal was, first, a medium body. Number 2, no spice, just a little bit of spice, just for a little hint, but earthiness, woodiness, and I like a silky cigars, medium mm-hmm. body with silky experience. So you have to be able to smoke the cigar, not the cigar smoke you.
Yeah, for sure. And there are some out there that do smoke you, and there are some out there that don't. So, and it also sounds like with this panel that you get other experience besides what's on the palate too. the aroma, the smoky aroma from it. So you made the attempt to encompass a whole cigar smoking experience
in 3 levels.
Okay.
Experts, people from the industry, people associated to the industry by being long-time smokers, very prominent smokers, and people that had nothing to do with, the industry. They just were invited, like doctors or, people from the diplomatic world in Geneva or the US, just to give us an unbiased opinion from a rookie. So we had the both edges, the experts and the rookies. In the middle, we had the long-time smokers. And I think we came out with a great blend that will synthesize all of these opinions and experiences in the 3 layers in the blending panel. Very soon you will see in the website, abelexpositocigars.com, the members of our blending panel. It's called Panel of Experts.
Awesome.
And we will include all of these people that took part and attended this blending panel. And you will see how many countries we got together in one place. People from various origins in the world got together around the table and enjoyed blending this cigar for the great name of Abel Exposito and the great country of Nicaragua.
Awesome. You might have said this in the beginning and I might have missed it. So if I did, I apologize. How long did it take for the panel to say, this is the cigar, this is it? Like take us through that, because I'm sure you have, okay, this is sample number 1, because I've been on a few panels for some cigars in the boutique realm. Like, this is sample number 1, this is sample number 5, this is sample number 7. Sometimes there's no 2, 3, or 4, right? 3 is going to be another blend 4 or 5 years from now, or however that works. I've been on a few panels where they would just give me a number and say, okay, you're number 2 or number 1, and you smoke it, and we write down complexity, flavor, balance. Because not only is that like an industry standard, but Tobacconist University says, okay, you can judge a cigar by complexity, flavor, balance, and then the 5 tastes that you would get from a cigar. Saltiness, earthiness, umami. I'm having a brain fart about the other couple, sweetness, right? And I think bitterness is one, right?
Very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
So how did that happen? Like, how long did that take? And when you were going back and forth, because I assume if you went through that process, you got some blends in the back pocket too.
Well, of course. And in our case, when we started composing the blending panel, I had experience before about blending a cigar and being a member of blending panels. So number 1, if you want to do, you have to define what kind of cigar you want to make: mild, medium, full body. Once you are inside of one of the categories, you want to know if you want to see a medium minus, a medium plus, or true medium. Just to narrow the search. Sure. To narrow the amount of blends you're going to try.
Yeah.
So once you define yourself into a true medium, then you try, 20, 30 different blends. So it may take between 2 to 5 days going back, making notes. You have to make sure you make the right notes with the number of every blend.
Yep.
Let's say from 1 to 30, you're in 1 and you describe your experience. Not only experience in terms of palate and flavor, but also the beauty of the wrapper, the consistency, and other factors that are more inside of a smoking process. For example, I may like the blend number 5, but the wrapper of number 15. So I put in my notes, hey, the blend of number 5 is great, but the wrapper of number 15 fit perfect in this. So you mix and match among all of these options you have, whatever is perfect, whatever is better suit for you. But it may take days. It may take 4 or 5 days without a question. and you have to get the coffee beans to clean your nose, your smelling sense. You have to get the seltzer water.
Soda water. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Between one and the other, you have to make sure you're clean. It's a lovely process. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool process. I remember when a local shop here in the province metro came up with their own blend of cigars, and it was called the La Prave. And because it was located right near Providence, and it had a silhouette of the city and whatnot, and I had the opportunity to be on the panel, and it's kind of funny, because when I gave my opinion, right, I gave complexity, flavor, balance, but I also said I like this one will sell. You know what I mean? So
That's what I mentioned before. You have to blend the cigar for the market, not for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. How long did it take? 6 months? A year?
It took 4 days.
4 days. Wow. Yeah.
4 days to come up with a number of the blend that everybody liked it.
Yep.
As number one option.
Yeah.
Because remember, you put aside some options and you get together with, at the second, third day, you have 3-4 blends that you don't know what to do with them because you love them all. So in the second half of the panel, what you do is narrow it down to 3, narrow it down to 2, and then to 1.
Yep. Well, you know what to do with the blends that were in second and third and fourth place, right?
Mm-hmm.
You speak to the factory and negotiate a deal and come up with 2, 3, and 4 blends and some names.
Yeah, absolutely. But you listen. You have to keep in mind while you're doing this, you're enjoying the cigar, you're enjoying the conversation of the people around you, and you're working.
Yep.
You are doing business. So name me another industry that you enjoy so much while you're working.
Wine.
A little ahead. You're right.
You'll be a little bit jittery. Coffee.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine being on a coffee panel? You'll be like, "Hey, hi."
No, I'm a very, I was born in Havana, Cuba, but I'm a very decaffeinated Cuban. I don't drink coffee.
Really? Oh, no. Yeah. I do a lot of coffee with cigars, for sure, for blending. For sure.
I actually started smoking cigars in early age because it calms me down. It relaxes me. It lets my imagination fly. So the best decisions you ever make is with a cigar in your hand, surrounded by a peaceful place, a nice drink, and a cigar, and you go far. Mm-hmm. You go far in your thinking, in your decision making, because the cigar, it's known by a relaxation subject. Mm-hmm. And the cigar, look at this. The cigar is a perfect equalizer.
It is. It's amazing.
When you are sitting in the lounge, having a conversation with people around you, a banker, a president, a janitor, or a bus driver can be sharing the same product.
Yep.
So, and the only opportunity that a banker has to talk to a plumber or a janitor is in a cigar store with the same cigar in their hands.
Yep.
So I call the cigars the perfect equalizer, social equalizer.
The only other time is if the plumber owes the bank of money, but but that's another show, right? Fast forward 3 years, 5 years, where do you envision your company going?
I envision the company gaining market share in Europe, Asia, and the US. Mm-hmm. That's number one. We have to surpass in the next few years 1 million sticks a year. Mm-hmm. And number 3, I would just like to go places and see people smoking the cigar and enjoying it and telling me thank you. Thank you for coming, to my life through a cigar that I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. So when listen, I'm a very humble guy. I was born in a very humble environment, and I just like humble outcomes. Yep. If people like what I do, that's the best reward. So I see my company and my cigar in a few years being accepted and liked by millions of smokers around the world.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. My ultimate goal is making people happy. Make people happy, and people would recognize you by the link in between the final customers and you, which is your product, your cigar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we got to spend a couple seconds talk about the FDA. How are you keeping, because it's got to be in everybody's rearview mirror. You know, that's metaphor, of course. You know, like, you know, whether you're a big company or new, or you're trying to get past your first milestone, how are you personally keeping an eye on that? And what do you, we know what we hope the outcome will be, but how do you realistically see that playing a part in your potential business plan?
Well, number one, you have to have an attorney who knows about the.
Right.
This became a business. You cannot do it. Started without an attorney. So basically, you have to be advised properly about the steps you make and the process of compliance. Second, nobody knows what's going to happen finally.
Right.
So what we definitely know is that things are not going to be like they used to.
Yep.
But how far the implementation of the FDA regulation will go, we don't know. The length of it, we don't know. Actually, they change every day. It's very unstable regulatory environment right now. So whoever gives you a certain, definite, and permanent opinion and answer on that is just dreaming, because nobody knows. There is no, not even the legislators know what finally, how finally would look like.
You know, Robert, that's a very, very, very grounded statement that you just made. And, you know, hats off to you, you know, because you really don't know. And if you want to talk about business, whether you know or not, the answer is you're going to have to adopt to whatever you do know in whatever methodology that they come out with. And, you know, yesterday or the day before, I just caught wind, you know, they keep extended the deadline to get more signatures. And you know, you have different factories down in South Florida that are trying to, you know, save the factory and do that. And, you know, let's not talk about cigars for 30 seconds. Let's talk about another industry, okay? Any industry, pick it, right? If you don't adapt, right? If you don't, the best way you can do is adopt the company and gain market share. But if you don't adapt, right, you're going to be left in the weeds. And
I call it this way. Let me put it this way. It's very revealing because it's very expressive term. Whoever wants to make a living in the cigar industry has to be ready to reinvent himself every day.
Yep.
Because you don't know what the new regulation is going to come along. So you have to reinvent yourself every day to comply with the new regulations. So you have to be very proactive in terms of compliance and open-minded.
Yeah.
So whoever wants to do this, they got to know that this is not it's not going to make your mind go sleeping in a sleeping motion. Your mind has to be improvising every day. Adaptation. The adaptation process is important because what you can do now, you may not be able to do it tomorrow. So if you don't reinvent yourself, you have a very uncertain future.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're speaking to Robert from Abel Exposito Cigars. If you are looking for more information, you can go to wiki.stogiegeeks.com and see the link there. Or you can go right directly to abelexpositocigars.com. I have a question for you. Other than patience, okay, because in the cigar industry, you need patience. You need patience to market your brand. You need patience to go through certain milestones, right? With that being said, what advice would you give to other boutique cigars companies other than Patience, because everybody says Patience, so I take that off the table. What advice would you give to them trying to go through the same types of business acumens that you're going through? What advice would you give them?
It's very easy. Baby steps. Baby steps. Don't run before you walk.
Right. Yeah.
That's important.
That's very good. That's good advice.
Create a great design. Be ready not to sleep at night. Be ready to invest a huge amount of money. Be ready to consider yourself a little crazy. To do this, you have to be crazy or love cigars that much that you don't even have a rational thinking. This is a very complex industry.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do baby steps, you calculate the risk, and then you grow organically, you may have a future in this. But if you just want to become an icon overnight, that's not the industry. This is not the industry.
Sure.
I had the opportunity a couple IPCPRs before to be next to an icon of this industry in the U.S. I'm not going to say the name, but he's a very known cigar maker in the U.S. and the world. And he was asked a question: How do you explain your success overnight? The answer of this gentleman was, "It took me 25 years to have success overnight."
Right. Yeah. That's some very accurate advice, and that's a humble gentleman as well.
It is.
I think if I did some research, I can narrow it down to 5 people, but we'll talk about that offline and see if I guessed it right.
It took me 25 years to have success overnight.
Right. Because people only remember the cigars that have been around and the success. They don't remember, hey, 2 years ago I was exposed to Abel Exposito, or I was exposed to a Umbagog, or I was exposed to this cigar, and if it's not around anymore, the consumer forgets, right? They always forget. And, if you make it, then they're like, oh, well, that was quick. And you look at it like, no, that was not quick.
That's exactly right.
That was not quick at all. I had a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of trips to the factory. And, even though we created a panel of 15, I'm sure people argued over the one that you chose.
You're ready to spend long hours in the planes, flying,
right.
Going, driving. Oh my God!
Right.
But I enjoyed.
Absolutely. Well, we have a couple of minutes left. Is there anything else that you wanted to add about your company? And anything else?
What keeps us going is follow the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the dream. And we had a dream. Abel Exposito and I had a dream of making a great cigar for people outside of Cuba. Because you're not able to sell any cigar that is not Cuban in Cuba. But we are able to put together our talent, experience, and expertise making a cigar for consumers all over the world. And that's a privilege. That was a dream. And we're accomplishing our dream in a very certain steps, in a very persistent way.
Mm-hmm.
So always follow the dream.
Yep. How's business in South Florida? And what I mean by that is I find South Florida a fascinating hotspot within the cigar industry, because if you walk out of one cigar shop and you look diagonally across the street, there's another cigar shop.
Or 3 of them. Yeah.
I find that fascinating. And, here in the Northeast, I know that in Rhode Island, it's very concentrated with cigar shops. And the reason why is because you can drive through Rhode Island with no traffic in 45 minutes. So it seems worse than really what it is.
I know the cigar industry in your state very much from my times being a rep. And I love Rhode Island. But listen, what happens in South Florida is that we Cubans, we like a place, we go every day. We don't like it, we ever. So
yeah.
we don't switch.
Right.
We don't switch. We like a chair in that place, the music or the AC or the TV, whatever it is, the ambience, the atmosphere. We go to that place for a daily cigar, and that is it. You can have 1,000 cigar stores around you. I like this place. I like this man that treats me well every time I come. And this is Cuban mentality. So Miami and South Florida, Dade County is overwhelmingly dominated by Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the perception I get from my fellow Cubans. We like a person, we like a place, and that compliance in between the person and the place makes our lounge. Once you have your lounge, you die with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm the same way. Even though there's a bunch of cigar shops here, I migrate to 3, and
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's I if there's an event or something like that, I go, but I really strongly migrate to 3 shops, and they're all like little children, right? All the shops, because they're all different, all the atmosphere and stuff like that. And people ask, have you ever been to this new shop? Have you ever been? It's like it's the same product. I'm gonna smoke the same product. Sometimes if it's an exclusive, I might go and do a Stogie Geek errand and get some cigars or something like that. But other than that, you go where you're comfortable, and that's a testament to the cigar shop owner that he or she needs to make his or her place
to captivate the customers.
To captivate their customers, and they do that by bringing in a bunch of different cigars.
Next time you go to a cigar lounge, pay attention to this. No matter how close they are always different conversation and topics in every one of them.
Yep.
So it's amazing because it's different demographics, different people getting together. So you always have different exposure to different topics, different subjects and conversation, different people. Even lounges close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They gather different people.
Right.
So your exposure to a lot of different subjects is amazing when you're a rep and you have to visit every one of them.
Right. Well,
it's a lovely business.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating business. I love it, and it's a privilege and an honor to be able to host the Stogie Geek show. I get to speak to so many people within the industry and hear so many fascinating stories. I have one more question for you.
What amazes me is that you have a great talent of making people feel comfortable during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And you like it's important in the cigar, the consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consistent cigar in the flavor. In an interview is the same. You want a consistent interview without swallows, without bumps.
Yeah.
So you accomplished that brilliantly.
Well, thank you.
Congratulate you for that.
Thank you. All positive comments go to paul@stogiegeeks.com. I report to him. Or you can flash me an email. I'll forward it to him. I have one more question for you. I like this question. If you can wake up tomorrow and be a superhero, right? Who would you be, and how would you use your power? Is there a Cuban superhero? I don't even know.
Yes, it's a Cuban superhero cartoon. Yes.
This is what, like the Chupacabra or something like that, or what?
No, he was a warrior in the Independence War.
Okay.
Against Spain. Elpidio Valdez was his name. He was a soldier, but he who saved villages and saved people from danger, and he was a savior.
Yep.
In the war. So that's a very complex question to answer because I would be a lot of things.
Okay.
I dream doing a lot of good to a lot of causes, a lot of people. But what I can tell you is this. If I had a lot of power to impact the world, what I would do is fight poverty, fight hunger, fight inequality, fight communism.
Okay.
I would be a huge power against those causes, against hunger, against injustice, against communism, against inequality, inequality below the law. Don't get me wrong. We don't have to be equal. We have to be equal underneath of law.
Yep.
Law is equal for everyone. I mean, so I would be a very fair ruler if I would ever.
You want to be a ruler? I don't want to be a superhero. I want to be a ruler, right?
A superhero,
Yeah.
when you have power, you rule.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I would be a good guy. I believe I would be a good guy, and
I think so.
I always like the underdog.
Yep.
So
and most importantly, you would fight poverty and hunger with a cigar in your hand.
That's for sure.
That's what I try to do every day. Whatever I do, I make sure I have a cigar in my hand. I'll be good.
Yeah,
you know, absolutely.
My cigar.
Yep.
I have my cigar in my mouth and doesn't work wet.
Awesome. Well, check in with me on Wednesday. Let me know when you're in town. We'll take care of that. And then we'll check in with you post IPCPR and see how the show went for you.
Will you be there?
Unfortunately, I will not be there this year. I've been getting a lot of emails from a lot of vendors trying to find out if I'm there. We've gotten warm welcomes to film in their booth, do Stogie Geeks interviews within their booth and all of that stuff. And I have a conference to attend to that week in another line of work outside of cigars. So I will not, unfortunately, be at IPCPR this year. But I can tell you that when you get into the Northeast and you get your penetration here in the Northeast, maybe we can coordinate and do some off-candor filming and use it for the show and stuff like that for sure. You know,
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Robert, thank you for your time. You know, thank you for your time. Don't hang up. We're gonna break, and then you and I are just gonna chat right quick offline. I'm just to give you the process right there.
Thank you guys for making this possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time. That's Robert from Abel Exposito Cigars. Make sure you check him out online at abelexpositocigars.com, or you can go to wiki.stogiegeeks.com. I have been your host for episode 276 of Stogie Geeks. We'll see you next week.